Right. Welcome, everybody. All nerds assemble. It is time once again for Heresy Hammer. This is a very longly requested. Is that even Oh, it is.
Probably. I think so.
Longly
Longly
Highly requested.
requested episode. Yes, significantly requested and long anticipated and long overdue episode today. Um, this is talking about Black Shields. Who are they? Why are they? What do they do? How can you play with them? Are they any good? Etc. Etc. Now, you may notice today that this is a slight motley crew of people because my name is John. I'll be your host today. You can find me on Instagram at D6Miniatures. I'm joined by a long-time friend of the show and a quite long-time hobby friend in general, Matthew at
Hello again.
M4TT underscore paints, and new friend of mine, but long-term friend of Matthew's, Nick, who can be found at K0RDHAL on Instagram.
Hello.
Now, the reason that why Matt and Nick are joining me today and why Lee and Rob are conveniently absent is none of us have a bloody clue about Black Shields. So we have enlisted the world's two most kind of finest Black Shield scholars to help us all out. And
Well, Nick. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe through osmosis, I might have absorbed Bill's knowledge. Yeah, and we'll see what we can do. I'm looking forward to it.
so we're all going to learn together today,
The
gang.
best
So
way. The best way.
buckle in and yeah, let's all put our thinking caps on. So before we get started, I'm going to allow Matt and Nick to introduce both themselves, and also you may be familiar with them already because they also have a podcast. So guys, why don't you take a few minutes to introduce yourselves, who you are, your hobby journey, your heresy love, and maybe talk to us a little bit about the Outcast Sons as well.
Nick, please, after you.
Hype. I've been kind of my hobby journey, been in and out from sort of like started the classic sort of way back when I was a wee kid, gave it up because it was uncool in university, sort of came back sort of with the Ink 28 kind of thing when that was all the kind of the rage back when I was doing my masters. And then through sheer force of nagging, Matt dragged me kicking and screaming into the Heresy. And sort of so for second edition, I kind of got hooked. And really just kind of I'd always wanted to do a first edition Black Shield list and never kind of had the wherewithal to do it. And so I kind of then fell in love. I've done one already, and then I've got a second one that's my main force. And yeah, just kind of fell in love with Heresy, like started going to loads of events and things like that. And I've just kind of got the Black Shield bug, so to speak.
So what I'm hearing is you fell out of love with the hobby because it was uncool, and then you realized that heresy was incredibly cool and came back in.
Basically, yeah.
Cool. So you can see some of Nick's black shields on the right of your image here if you're watching with your eye holes and not listening with your ear holes. But Nick, you're kind of quite well known for a very distinctive and heavily converted black shields force. That's how I came across you prior to being introduced to you by a mutual friend, Matt. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about your black shields and what makes them so super special?
So basically, I really like my favorite thing about the Heresy is kind of like finding a narrative hook, and kind of like finding a theme to. I can't start a force just because I think, oh, that Legion is cool. I like to find like a little hook or something like that. And Matt actually, a while ago, suggested looking into history and finding like little pieces of like history to kind of spin off. And I fell down the rabbit hole of reading about Mithras, the Mithraic cults, like the late Roman Empire kind of thing. And then it just kind of spun off from there. And I decided it'd be really cool to kind of do that. And then I kind of tried to find the oaths that would fit the theme, and I went with that, which we'll probably talk about later. And then I just started converting these hideous, like I also watched a TV show called Raised by Wolves, which is very cool. Kind of got like Mithraic elements and weird androids and things like that. And I was like, what about android marines? And then kind of it went from there. And I converted up a tester actually just before Greetings last year, and then it kind of it spiraled from there. And now I've over 3,000 points. Yeah, it's kind of I love converting. I think I've got convertitis. I can't build a model stock anymore. I like to sculpt, and I think Black Shields kind of let you kind of have a bit more creativity about side. Like, not that there isn't creativity within the legions, but it lets you go a little bit more wacky than, say, like a traditional legion force.
I like it. I like it indeed. I must admit, I did sort of pseudo bully you for a little while on the internet by saying that I didn't think that the Blackshields rules were ever going to come, and
Mm.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was vaguely surprised when they did make an appearance. So, but I'm glad for such purists such as yourself that that this all come to fruition. I'm not pleased for people who aren't pure like Matt, who are just a bandwagon hopper. But
Look, hey, let's not have that. I'll have you know that
have
in
me know.
circa 2020, I would say, maybe 2020,
Okay,
no, I'd say 2020, I did have a Black Shield army. I've actually painted quite a lot of Black Shields.
you
I
have to be
maybe
fair. You have, yeah.
I made the army. I maybe played with it about 3 or 4 times, and I then sold it because I was just in a phase of selling armies. But I've painted a lot of Silas Black Shields now. I've painted, probably about 4,000 points of them. But I mean, back then, because it was something I was like, oh, these, because back in 1.0, right, when they were had their cool little section, and then they were super sandboxy, sort of similar to what they are now. I loved the sort of like desperate sort of aspect of them, where you'd have these expedition fleets that would have gone out, experienced the horrors of the far reaches of the galaxy during the Great Crusade, and then when they were being sort of told to come back and then fit a mold that they no longer fit. So my guys were like, I think they were World Eaters and Imperial Fists, and it was Imperial Fists that were like had loads of librarians because they were fighting something that required that, and then they were brought back after with Nicaea and being censured, and they were like, no, we're not having this, and then that's how they sort of fell into the heresy. And I thought it was really cool. I really enjoy that aspect of them. And Nick is always like, oh, you need to start Black Shields again. And I, having looked into this after we were asked to come on here, there were a few ideas which were like, oh, that would be pretty cool for stuff I already have. And Nick's army, it was the closest I ever managed to get him to make Ultramarines, which makes me
Yeah.
sort of happy. They're loosely Ultramarines. I really tried. And yeah, I'm not going to rattle on. People know, like, obviously I came on the Ultramarines one to talk to Rob about, so I won't rattle on about my hobby journey. But yeah, I love painting blue Space Marines, and I might make some Black Shields to go with one of my blue Space Marines later on down the line. Um, so yeah, we will see.
We will see.
We will see.
Do you want to take a couple of minutes just to talk to us about the Outcast Sons and what the situation is there?
Yeah, so Nick and I sort of messaged him, at one point saying, "Oh, should we do a podcast?" I think it was like I think it was beginning of sort of 2.0 time. I think it was
Yeah.
maybe a little bit earlier or around that point, where we were super, well, I'm still super into Heresy, and I was like, I want more of it. And I just thought it'd be fun because Nick and I would always be chatting on Instagram and whatnot about models, and I was like, you know what? Let's just make people listen to me talk about Ultramarines and Nick talk about Black Shields, and they can't escape us
Yeah.
if they
No.
want to listen to it. So I mean, we don't do it nearly enough just because I am terrible at basically recording. Life is a thing, or the new like or doing hobby. But yeah, we just ramble on about stuff, events we've gone to, ideas for, say, Nick's Black Shield stuff. Like, it's just us chatting, really, but like
Yeah.
this. It's just check it out. So there's like 5, 6 episodes, Nick, I think, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I still get DMs being like, when is the next one? Which is nice to get. So, and then I have to nag Matt and be like, Matt, when can you fit me in your schedule?
I don't think I will. And it's like, now I'm playing this video game, or I'm playing Balatro. That's the new one. It's
Oh,
recording. It's all about chips and malt. People know, but yes, please. I promise we'll do more. We will at some point. We're all both going to
Well,
greetings this weekend, so maybe we will do one after that. And
that sounds pretty
oh,
good.
nice.
I'll be honest with you and say I've listened to all 6 episodes. I've listened to some multiple times, would you
Oh,
believe? So
you
oh,
fanboy. Steady
I
on.
know. And all I can feel is enthusiasm for your preferred subject matter just leaching out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got quite a high barrier to Ultramarines now after having spent time with both Matt and Rob. So but certainly if you are on a long drive, on a long journey, if you're bored at work, on a commute, then go and check out the Outcast Sons. You can find it on all major platforms, correct?
Yeah, so it's on
Spotify.
Spotify, but I am trying to move them over to they're on Apple as well. So feel like RVS and whatnot. So yeah.
Cool, wonderful stuff. Okie doke. So, without further ado, before we get started, we need to say some special thank yous for helping us keep the lights on. I mean, we only kept Matt's light on for a brief period before he kept out. So
Yeah, for
perhaps
it
we
went off.
should
Yeah, exactly.
divert some budget Matthew's way. So Beowulf, if you are interested in Black Shields and you pick up a stock box and you think this is nowhere near it's mantle enough for what I need, perhaps you can head over to Beowulf Miniatures and pick up some cool prints, either conversion bits for existing miniatures or full kits. You can find them on Instagram at Beowulf Miniature Printing. And also, if you enjoyed our last episode all about terrain, we've already had people hitting us up saying, "Oh, where can I get some cool terrain printed?" These guys. If you are after a particular bit from a kit, because like Nick, you have a cool conversion planned. That was quite onomatopoeic,
Oh,
actually.
that was
Oh,
oh
nice.
God.
It's almost like I'm a semi-pro broadcaster
Yeah.
now. Then you can visit Bits Monster. They buy big boxes, split them down, so you only get the bits you want. Ignore the bits you don't. And if you use the code Heresy Hammer at checkout, you'll get 10% off all Heresy orders and free shipping in the UK for orders over £25. And lastly, if you need a complete big box or several big boxes from various game systems, then why not head over to our good friends Curtain Games? They have a physical store in Devon, down in a place that I've literally just forgotten the name of. It's sort of near Exeter, but it's also not Exeter. But they also have a website and access to the postman, so you can head over to Curtain Games for great pricing and speedy service. So let's get into it. Let's get into the
Let's
meat
do
and
it.
potatoes of the episode. We are going to deep dive into Black Shields. We are going to treat all of us as a collective, all of the viewers out there, and also myself, as if we are complete novices. So we're going to start from the very beginning, and we're going to go right to the very end, and we're going to understand not only what the Black Shields are, how you might want to use them in your games of Horus Heresy, how to create an army, but also the things that they can do if your opponent across the table goes, I've got some space pirates, mate, and they're all painted black.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying to begin with, like this army is I think you kind of have to treat them like militia, I think, in terms of how you're
Ooh,
making these.
spicy.
I
Like
think
it.
because there are so many different things you can do, as we'll see when we talk about the oaths. And I think it's one of those armies where you're doing it like Nick does because you absolutely love the theme you're going for and you're picking them. I mean, it's funny. I've been into the depths of the of certain discords with Black Shields, and never realized there were so many Imperial Fists Black Shields. It's interesting
Mm,
when you
yeah.
when you when you start sort of scraping away at the surface. But I think with the to caveat the sheer amount of things you can do, like
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to cover it all. Like there's so
Mm.
much.
Yeah.
So you know, let's go on this journey together, boys.
Let's all
I'm
do
looking
it.
forward to it.
Let's strap our shoes and our big boy pants on and take a wander down Black Shield Lane. So, I think the first things to note is we're just going to kind of summarize a little bit some preamble about the Black Shield. So, um, Kerry's put some stuff together here just to kind of summarize. So a few people asked for more information on Shields after using them in our narrative allies episode. I'll be honest with you and say it's probably one of our most requested topics to cover.
Mm.
And it's taken a little while because, like I said, I've never had any experience utilizing Black Shields, especially not in second edition. I kind of flirted a little bit in first edition, but um, it's they're not necessarily a widely seen army, but an army that I think has an enormous amount of scope.
Yep.
It's quite a catch-all term, the Black Shield, and as
Mm.
Matt kind of think alluded to just a second ago, it's one of those. It's a great way of if you've got a theme for an army in your head that doesn't necessarily sit within the scope of the legions, then turn to Black Shields, make them Black Shields. You don't have to paint them black after all. Like they can be a ragtag warband in whatever state
Mm.
they want to appear. So, um, Blackshields are a catch-all term for forces and warbands outside the Legion, so they don't follow the Legion structure in terms of their setup as from a lore perspective, but also they don't necessarily follow the standard kind of index Astartes from the perspective of army creation and army building in game either. Some of them will still have an allegiance, but also some of them are just out for themselves, acting as freelancers and pirates. So they are can
Very
be
cool.
mercenaries
Mhm.
available to the highest bidder. Um, Others might be splinter forces still fighting for the War Master or the Emperor outside of Legion command, and they make for highly narrative forces with a lot of conversion and painting opportunities, as demonstrated by both my co-hosts today. So, anything else that we feel like we need to mention within that summary?
I think that
I think you've pretty much covered it. Like even with the some of like just on a theming wise, like some are out for themselves. You can do like there's a great bit in the book 6 of Retribution where there's like a really obscure Black Shield force that's got like weird symbols on that no one knows, and they just kind of they're not even like a mercenary group. They just kind of appear and do mysterious objectives. So you can they're really the sky's the limit basically.
yeah, there's a lot of cool. I think the black books are great
Yeah,
for little bits of little one-liners. Like there's like the cool guy there's Raven Guard Black Shields that like wear the Sons of Horus eye that like
yep,
appear and like massacre like civilian populations that I think always was pretty badass. Or there's the thingies, Dark Wolves, the Sons of Horus, and is it
Space Wolves.
Skyraz Dark Wolves, like
Yeah.
Space Wolves and Sons of Horus that are traitors. I always thought that was probably the one time that Space Wolves might be cool, which I thought was pretty
Oh, mate,
pretty
come on,
sick.
steady now,
Yeah.
steady now.
Whoa, steady on. But yeah, literally, you can do whatever the hell you want, and
Mm.
I think it's really, really, really cool.
Yeah, there's also some fantastic lore from the Beats Garmin campaign that we covered
Mm,
in the lore episode that we did, especially around Enred Hart and his Black Shields, because that guy is an absolute baller.
Yep.
He
absolute unit.
is.
Yeah,
Beast.
yeah.
He is not only a beast, but also one of the coolest characters in the entire Heresy. And we'll come to him in a little while.
Mm.
Okay, so from a gameplay perspective, Black Shields are a separate faction which can be selected as parts of an army of either allegiance, nice, but must form a separate attachment within that army. So they sit alongside. Most Black Shields warbands are relatively small. The rules are intended for use as allied detachments in a larger force or as a primary detachment in smaller games with armies of less than 3,000 points. That's not to say you can't build out bigger detachments, but they often work well as a primary with an ally or an ally with a primary. Would you both agree with that statement?
I would disagree. I think there are
Okay.
ways of building them. I've done
Hmm.
3,000 points. I've done 3,500 points, and I think they can hold their own. I think a lot of people kind of assume you don't have the Legion specific units that you're at a disadvantage. I think you've just got to leverage what you do and the combination of oaths and warlord traits and being a bit canny with that. I think you can still hold your own very easily in a primary detachment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's probably right. Having played against them a fair few times, I think they definitely can. I think when we start looking at some of the oaths, there are definitely oaths that if you take them, if you're going to do them at a 3K list, it's going to hinder you. And
Mm.
there are some which are purely narrative, which make sense if they were like a tack on um to a main force. But you definitely can, and they can be pretty scary if you do. So
Mm. We'll come
yeah,
to
it's
that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I
we
think they're no slouch. Yeah.
no, absolutely not. I think they're often overlooked in terms of power level if we
Mm,
want to discuss such things. But we
mm.
will have some sample allied lists and some sample bigger lists sort of towards the end of the show to go over as well. So when you select a detachment using the Legiones Astartes army list, the controlling player may choose Black Shields as the value of X in the Legiones Astartes X special rule for that detachment. So you can basically take generic units and rather than giving them a Legiones Astartes, say Emperor's Children or Iron Warriors, you give them Black Shields instead. So as such, that does mean they may not make use of any units that require a specific version of the Legiones Astartes X special rule other than Legiones Astartes Black Shields. So they are all Black Shields. You can't then chuck in
Mm.
a unit that has Legiones Astartes Blood Angels, for instance, as a Black Shield. They are all Black Shields. So they start off as quite generic, but then they have a lot of flavor to build in. So that flavor comes from a couple of places. So they may not take rights of war. but instead take oaths of vengeance and oaths of wrath to flavour the army. And Blackshields also gain their own Legion traits alongside unique Warlord traits and a unique reaction. All good? Everyone following along so far
Yeah.
at home? Good. Well, obviously you two are because you know the
Yeah, just about.
so.
Yeah.
Great, sounds good.
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds great.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. I need plenty of positive affirmation as we go
You
through.
can do it,
Wonderfully
John.
summarized.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you,
Black
thank you,
Shields.
thank you,
That's a
thank
Black
you.
Shield.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nick, why don't you take us through the Legiones Astartes Black Shield rule, beholden to none?
So, beholden to none is basically they are they count if you're their primary detachment, which is I'm just going to summarize rather read the
Yep,
text.
please.
If they're a primary detachment, basically they count even if you were on the loyalist faction in an event or a traitor faction, you count as both loyalist and traitor, which has some very interesting implications for war gear later on, which we'll discuss. However, when they're in an allied detachment, they basically they have to be mirror the sort of or they
The
have to be the
primary.
same as the primary basically.
Yeah.
So they then become loyalist or traitor. They can't be used with agents of the emperor or war master such as the custodes or sisters of silence. They can't take assassins, and they always count as distrusted allies, so they're not really ever really going to be scoring unless they're your primary detachment.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a great summary because that's a much better summary than the text. So
Yeah, it's quite dense.
well
Yeah.
done. So basically, you go into the game as, I guess, agnostic in terms of allegiance. So, but you're also agnostic, but also at the same time, both.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
are everything to all people all the time. Matthew, would you please take us through the Black Shield's advanced
Yeah,
reaction
so
and how
no
that
lords,
works?
no masters. So you do it once per battle in your opposing player's assault phase when an enemy unit that includes a model with the Primarch subtype, the unique subtype, or the master of the Legion special rule, or there has been a model that's been taken as the army's warlord. When the unit declares a charge against you, you get to pop your reaction. If the charge is successful, so we go
Hmm.
through all the usual rigmarole with that. You get fearless, which is pretty awesome.
Pretty good.
And then if you're in base contact or in a challenge with a model with a character special type, you get a +1 attack, or if it's unique, you get +2 attack. So basically, your unit becomes fearless, and then the characters in your unit kind of go, I'm really mad if they're against any special characters. It's a bit
Yeah.
niche, isn't it, Nick? I mean, think you've ever
Yeah,
used it against me? Have
it
you?
doesn't really because of my oath combination. It's kind of a bit useless for me, really.
Yeah.
So, but
It's
we'll
I
come
think
to
getting
that.
fearless when you charge is pretty great. Like especially if
Yeah,
you're being charged by some like murder bomb that has,
Yeah.
and it's
your
quite good to tar pit things. If you've got a big squad that gets charged, it's a way of tar pitting like a really
Mm,
nasty unit if it has
Hmm.
the sort of like the Death Star kind of vibe.
Yeah,
but-
it's worth bearing in mind as well that base contact with an enemy model with the character unit subtype as well is probably more prevalent than you might give it credit
Mm.
for. There are lots of
yeah,
other things such as
S-
apothecaries, tech marines,
Sergeants.
etc., sergeants that have the character unit subtype. So any models in base contact with those guys will
yeah.
get an extra attack. So definitely worth bearing in mind. And yeah, please pay attention to how you and your opponent both pile into each other in the assault
Yeah.
phase.
Yeah, your suzerain and your
Real
whatchamacallits,
bearing.
the Cenobium, right? All
Yeah,
characters.
Yep.
all characters.
So a lot of attacks.
Yeah,
Everybody's at least getting +1 attack there, which is pretty good.
it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's a spicy meatball, mate. It's a
yeah.
spicy meatball. Right, 2 seconds. Just going to move our faces out of the way. Okay, so the Warlord traits. So I'm going to read these. Well, I'm going to read Bloody Tyrant first off and I'm coming into this completely cold. So this could be anything, to be honest with you.
Could be anything, John. Who
Could
knows?
be anything. So, a warlord with this warlord trait gains the Fear 1 special rule, which I think is brilliant. Okay,
Yeah,
straight away, pretty
great
good.
buff. Yeah,
Which affects all friendly models as well as enemy models.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're just a dickhead. You're just a
You're a huge
raging.
dick,
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
nobody likes you.
Cool. This does not include any warlord model with this trait, which is not affected. So everyone around him is subject to fear, whether they're friend or foe, apart from himself. So, however, should any friendly unit that is under the effect of this model's Fear 1 special rule and under the control of the player whose warlord has this trait be forced to fall back or become pinned, the controlling player may instead choose to remove a single model as a casualty. Oh, that's really good. I like it.
Mm.
So he's like a commissar
Yeah.
in 40k
Yeah.
games of yore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. The model is chosen by the unit's controlling player and may take no saving throws or damage mitigation rolls of any kind. If this option is used, then the unit does not fall back or become pinned, but instead remains in place without further effect, or if locked in combat, remains locked in combat. In addition, an army whose warlord has this trait may make an additional reaction during their opponent's assault phase, as long as the warlord has not been removed as a casualty. On the surface, I think that is bloody excellent, to be honest with
It's
you.
pretty good.
It's a
Yeah.
good one. It's a good
Pretty
one.
good.
What
Pretty
fear
good.
is 6 inches, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, if you stick him somewhere, he's in like a
yeah.
command squad, and you've got your big blocks of whatever. Yeah, they're
hmm
not going anywhere.
Bang
Um,
him with a herald for a bit of extra fear. Have them
mm,
fighting in the dark, a bit more fear. You know how much I
yeah.
love fear stacking. Anyone who's watched
Yeah.
any of my previous episodes, you would know
Uh,
that I'm a big fan of
take
fear bubbles.
Panoply of Old Night Lords with
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Give him prey
Yeah.
sight.
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh. Okay. Nick, would you like to read Forgotten Hero? Is
this
this the
is
one you
my
tend to take?
yeah, this is my favorite one, and I think
Here we
is
go.
so. If during any player's shooting phase, a model with this warlord trait is allocated at least one wound, whether it is saved or not, and including if the wound causes the warlord to be removed as a casualty, then all other friendly models in the same unit gain a bonus of +1 to their weapon skill and strength characteristics until at the end of the next player turn in which that unit makes successful charge or is
Oh my
successfully
God.
charged by an enemy unit. This bonus is not cumulative, and you may only bonus basically you only benefit from it once. It doesn't stack, so you can't keep being shot and be like, oh, I'm now +2, +3, or whatever. And in addition, the army whose warlord has this trait may take an additional reaction during their opponent's shooting phase, as long as the warlord has not been removed as a casualty. It is such a good trait.
That,
Mm,
guys and girls, and whomever else may be watching, is pretty damn good. That
yeah.
is
That's
pretty
that's
good.
Yep. That
That's quite
fucks.
a
That's
Yeah, it
pretty
does.
good.
Yep.
It's pretty
Pushing
good.
your nice command squad retinue to weapon skill 6, strength 5
Mm,
doesn't affect the
Yeah,
warlord though, but still can make quite the difference.
yeah, it's and all the
yeah,
characters in there as well.
Yep.
Like I
So
think
if
as
you've got an
well, you forget like people shoot as it will shoot at like a bit like, absently being like, oh sure, haha, pew pew with my bolt pistols, and then you're like, oh no,
yeah,
what have I done?
you've activated
yeah,
my trap card.
Mm.
yeah. This is a what we call in the game a gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So worth bearing in mind that it only happens in the shooting phase. So it wouldn't happen, for instance, on an Overwatch reaction or a return fire. Well, let's be fair, no, it would happen on a return fire. It's during any play shooting phase.
yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah, yet another gotcha, guys. Matt, would you take us through Twisted Strategist?
Yeah.
Please? This sounds like you, a Twisted
Yeah,
Strategist.
Twisted.
So
So this is kind of it feels very like Alpha League like 1.0. So at the start of any game turn, before the start of any player's movement phase. So you can do this whenever, right? If a
mhm.
warlord with this trait is on the battlefield and has not been removed as a casualty, so unfortunately, once again, you can't be in your tank because he ceases to exist, which seems,
Yeah.
dumb, but never mind. The controlling player of the warlord may select one of the special rules below at a single friendly unit in the same detachment that includes the warlord. All models in the unit gain one of the listed rules below, and they get it for the duration of the game turn, which is pretty cool. And you can only do them once. So you've got Shrouded, Rampage 1, Counterattack, Precision Shots 6 plus. So, and then obviously you get your extra movement reaction, which is always great. I quite like this. I think with a lot of the stuff you can do with the oaths, this just gives you like another layer of just like as are the Ultron with me, just admin and
Mm.
theoreticals and practicals.
God,
You're
this
taking the
is really
chess
good.
up to
Yeah.
like 3 and 4D, which I enjoy. Like being able to be like, okay, first turn, it's looking a bit dicey. Okay, let's have 6 plus shrouded just for free. Like you
hmm
become Raven Guard, right?
Yeah.
Like Rampage, when your unit's about to charge in, you know you're going to make a charge. It's going to be great. Obviously counterattack.
Counterattack.
Yeah, when you're going to get charged. And precision shots, like having like like you could stick it on like a last cannon team and have the
Yeah,
thing
Yep,
with
yep.
yep,
6+.
yep,
But yeah, it's pretty. I think this. I like this. I like Gift the Forgotten Hero because it's very similar to the Ultramarines one, where you get to like
yeah,
become tougher when you get shot. But the twisted strategies of having like four things where in the movement reaction is always great on top.
yeah.
I think
That's lovely. That
Beagles.
precision shot six is so handy because again, it's not any like sometimes you often see warlord traits like this where it's limited to things along the lines of infantry units.
Yeah,
But for
but
instance, we are, if you've got a rapier team with
mm,
with laser destroyers, for instance, you can just be like, bang.
you kid, your melter
Yeah,
predators. Oh,
just gonna,
Your or
sorry,
yeah,
your Las
they're
Cannon
the.
Deredeo, sniping
yeah,
those cheeky Archmagoses out of the Myrmidon unit.
Oh God,
yeah,
that'd be good, wouldn't it?
absolutely.
See you, kid. Pick him up.
Yeah, just gonna send this las cannon beam down range.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just gonna. Yeah, that makes me feel good about playing that against Alpha Legion, being like, who's the head Hunter Leviathan now? Like, yeah,
So
it's a lot of
what
fun
we've
stuff.
learned here, these are all good.
Mm,
I don't feel like there is one that is necessarily the standout, but I also don't feel like there is one because they're all situationally good, right? Depending on how you
Mm.
build your list. I think this is
Yep.
what we're going to like to come back to is that I feel like this army becomes you have to layer it in terms of in
Mm.
order to make it behave in a way that you want.
yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
very you need to be very cognizant about designing your list quite thoroughly in the list building phase rather than just being like, I'm just going to go buy the models and then get cracking.
Yeah.
And we kind of tend to find that with a lot of these Legion deep dives. It's like the game can be won or lost in the admin phase. So
yeah,
this is all
definitely.
good so far. Hope everyone's following along at home. Okay, so oaths of vengeance and of wrath. So Nick, what are oaths of vengeance and wrath? Why do they make a difference? What should we be doing with them?
So basically, they're like you lose access, as we discussed earlier, to the right of war. They're like mini rights of war, but they also can change your whole force like a right of war quite dramatically. And Black Shields get up to two. You don't have to take up to two, though you're a coward if you don't. That's
Hmm.
my personal stance there. Um, but most importantly, if you're playing in an event or a campaign, once you select your oaths, they're selected before the game or the event. You stick to them. You can't just be like, oh, okay, I'm playing X, Y. Oh, I'm playing Solar Auxiliary. I'm going to switch up to this. You've got to stick with it. So then it's not just kind of like a gotcha where you're like constantly changing it out.
Okay, so the box says the oaths of vengeance and wrath define the very core of each Black Shields warband, and once decided, should not be changed from battle to battle in order to gain an advantage over specific opponents. So watch out for specific opponents, you naughty sausages.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um, as such, when creating an army roster of Black Shields force to be used in battle, the oath selection should be recorded before any opponents are decided and the composition of an opponent's army is seen. So yeah, don't be that guy.
don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Oh, I was just role playing. Piss off.
Yeah,
Oh
nobody
God.
we see through it. Come on, come
Okay.
on.
Can I have a volunteer to read me the oath, Panoply of Old?
Nick, this is
Yeah.
your brainchild. I think
This
this
is
is
this
probably
is
the one
my this is
we've
my
spoken
baby.
about the most, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think.
So basically,
Okay.
models with this oath, and you can take this twice if you really want to. It's one of the two oaths
You
that you can
can.
take twice.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So models with oaths gain access to any unique war gear options available to models with the Legion Astartes X special rule. So basically, you choose Ultramarines, you choose Night Lords, you choose whatever Legion
Okay. So
takes
you
your
have to
fancy.
pre-select
Yep,
Mhm.
one legion.
yep.
Well, in theory, two
But you
legions,
can
Two
do two.
legions
as
if
we
you use both
discussed.
those slots.
Yeah.
But you do not get access to the Warlord traits, Rights of War, console
Just
types,
the war gear.
or the Praetor upgrade. So you couldn't just suddenly be like, oh, I'm going to take a Iron Hands and I get access to an Iron
An Iron
Father.
Father. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you
or
would, for instance, get access to a cyber familiar.
you would get
You
access to a
would.
Cyber Familiar, the Grav weapons,
Okay.
and some
Okay.
of it's better for some legions than others because there's some legions which let you take the war gear on characters, not just independent
Yeah.
characters, which is
Mhm.
the important thing. You might think, oh, great. Like I had a look at Ultramarines, for example, and a lot of their stuff is only on independent characters, so you actually really don't get a huge amount of benefit. You want stuff that can be taken on your troops or on your
Yeah.
sergeants and things like that to benefit them.
Question: is Prey Site war gear?
It is war gear.
It is war gear.
Interesting. Okay.
Let's write that down.
Yeah. Okay. That is brilliant. So there is the note at the bottom, as Nick said, that says this oath may be selected more than once, allowing individual models to have options for more than one legion, but a different variant of the legion changes the starter's X roll must be selected.
But also remember, if it's your primary detachment and there's traitor and loyalist locked war gear, you get access. So if you're a traitor Black Shield, you get access to that loyalist only stuff, and vice versa. It makes it very, very interesting, as Matt well knows.
Yeah.
So what do you Yeah.
What I go with is I take Emperor's Children because you get access to surgical augments. So
oh, you cheeky little prawn.
Yep. It's great, especially when you combo that with Forgotten Hero in your command squad.
Here we go.
Yeah,
see, it's all the dirty tricks are starting to come out.
Yeah,
now,
you've got to combo it. So it means that your other command squads are hitting your squads on 6s on the first turn of combat, which makes a huge difference. But surgical augments, so I take a lot of Sonic Shriekers on my sergeants. The Phoenix weapons are absolutely great because there's that chance of getting a murder strike. The Phoenix Spear is really, really good as well for the reach +2 strength. I just kind of run with Emperor's Children, and it kind of fits my theme as well, because if you've ever seen the Raised by Wolves series, the androids all have like a special scream that causes people to burst or get very disoriented. So convenient indeed, he says.
I think this is the point where you sort of, I think with the Panoply mainly is the one where you're like, okay, am I doing this because I want all the toys and the combos because you want to try and push it to the limit, or are you doing it because it's like, oh yeah, you know what, they are like, they used to be Raven Guard, because there are the standout ones. Like you've got your, obviously the best is probably the Imperial Fist, if we're going to
there's a lot of Imperial Fist Blackshields. Because you get the Ferromag shotguns, you get the Solarite gauntlets, you get the teleport homers, you get
shields,
you get the shields, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's probably one of the few because often it can be the case where if you're taking the Panoply, you're thinking, and sometimes you have that little niggle in your back of your mind and be like, well, why aren't I just playing the actual Legion, because they just do it better. But I think with a few of them like this, the like Night Lords, you've got Iron Hands, Emperor's Children, Imperial Fist, like discussed, like they have like a
Blood
lot
Angels
of
is not bad.
Blood Angels,
the Melter Pistols,
anything that can
Sons of Horus, units. You get access to some interesting stuff as well.
Death
Guard.
I think oh god, love them. Okay, I think, well, yes, this on the surface is great, absolutely fantastic. Okay, so an Eternity of War, a unit that includes any models with this oath which fails a morale check caused by casualties inflicted by an enemy shooting attack, does not fall back but instead makes a consolidate move. Quite like it. Quite nice actually. Additionally, if such a unit makes a successful charge after suffering any casualties due to an enemy reaction triggered by that charge, then each wound inflicted by the reaction is counted towards the controlling player of the charging unit's score used to determine which side has won the resulting combat. That's a lot of words.
A lot of words for you running forwards, I think is probably the TLDR
and
on that
your
one.
Wounds count double.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of a cross purposes with the Bloody Tyrant Warlord trait, because you've got double bubble and you're not you're not running away.
You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. In fact, you're just keeping coming.
Yeah. Very cool.
Oh, actually, no. It benefits you if you take casualties from a reaction. It actually I think it benefits you. Correct. Which is quite good.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. Shall we read that again, just so we're all clear? So, okay. So, additionally, if such a unit makes a successful charge, so we have charged, after suffering any casualties due to an enemy reaction triggered by that charge, let's say, for instance, it is an Overwatch reaction, then each wound inflicted by the reaction is counted towards the controlling player of the charging unit's score used to determine which side has won the resulting combat. So if you get Overwatch and lose 3 guys, all of a sudden you're +3 to that combat before we've even started.
Yep.
Plus also, if you get shot and you fail your morale check, you're moving towards the enemy rather than moving away. Lovely stuff. And especially if you've got like high initiative characters within that unit as well, that's pretty pretty tasty. I think there's some stuff to be done here. So, however, there is a however. At the end of any of the controlling player's turns after game turn one, any unit that includes one or more models with this oath that is not locked in combat and was not part of a combat in that same player turn suffers a single wound against which only invulnerable saves may be taken, but no other saving throws or damage mitigation rolls. These wounds being allocated by
cool.
the controlling player. Yeah.
It's so cool.
So basically, yeah, if you're not involved in some close quarters fighting, you're going to be starting to lose guys after the first turn. So.
Yeah, it's like World Eaters, but dialed up to like 15, right?
Yeah. It's it's like they've cranked the nails up. They've kind of gone into the back of the guys' heads and they fiddle with the screws, and it's all of a sudden like, right,
they've got some
off you go, guys.
bootleg nails that are
yeah, exactly. They've bought some Chinesium nails and away they go. They've ordered some nails on Temu.
Yeah, I was about to make that.
Installed them quite shoddily.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, what about the Eternal Vendetta?
Yeah, this is like a real fluff one. I think one where if you're probably playing a campaign, or if you have like a friend, a couple of mates that you're playing against, and you're like, right, I'm gonna make some Blackshields as part of a narrative, because effectively what you do is at the start of when you start your detachment, and then by extension this oath, you choose one of the Legiones Astartes, so Blood Angels, World Eaters, for example. So a unit that is composed entirely of models with this oath gain +1 to hit against in melee against units of that type you've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So you always fell on a 1, which is funny that they have to
continually reiterate.
Yeah, continually reiterate that one. So when you're in combat with them, you get +1 to hit. Okay. Also, if any models with this oath are within 12 inches of your Vendetta unit, you have to declare a charge if possible. Obviously, you can do your usual things to try and get out of that, shooting across the board, etc. If there are 2 units within 12, you can choose where you want to go. It's an interesting one. A key point: you can't if your fourth primary was Blood Angels, you can't have your Vendetta as Blood Angels as well, because why would they be on the same side? That would be a bit silly. And similarly to Panoply of Old, you can choose it twice, but you've got to choose a different one for each time. So they could really hate, which is kind of cool. It's a fun
about.
One.
I like it.
Yeah.
This has been considered and well thought out. I like it. I like this. This is good. I feel like I don't know. I feel like Eternity of War is just it just screams to me a little bit.
Yeah, you're doing it because you want to you want to do 500 points in a game as part of a campaign. I think is what this one is, which is cool.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's good. We should be thinking more like that, to be honest with you, and not just with our narrative heads on, and not just with our crushing of mooks head on.
Yes.
So. Okie doke. So, only in death does duty end. Shall I take us through this one? So, whenever a unit composed entirely of models with this oath is called upon to take a morale check, there is an asterisk here, which is this only affects only morale checks and not pinning tests, psychic checks, or any other kind of leadership test. So, just morale. So, when you're forced to take a morale check for any reason and in any phase, no dice are rolled and the check is considered to have automatically passed. However, the unit must instead immediately suffer D3 wounds against which only invulnerable saves may be taken, but no other saving throws or damage mitigation rolls, these wounds being allocated by the controlling player. Additionally, when a unit composed of models with this oath is entirely removed as casualties, no opposing player may score victory points for its removal.
Kind of like Sakyam Mazan.
Yeah, this includes for secondary objectives such as slay the Warlord. Bloody hell.
That's pretty good.
Yes, that is pretty good. Yeah, not scoring any points off me, son.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect pinning checks at the bottom though.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah. This is good. I like this. If you want to be a real prick, then here you go. Be like, they've soft comped this event to rule out Saga Mizan. Don't worry, guys. I'll just quickly go out to the garage, spray on my white scars black.
Yeah.
We're back, baby. We're back.
Yeah. It's a cool one. I think as well, like the bit of fluff, the fact that they're just like guys that are they're just like super tight with one another, and they just don't want to
Mm.
run. They don't want to run away. They just want to die next to their bros that they've been fighting with for hundreds of years. It's like
Yeah.
start the ball to pile and go out fighting. It's but also Sagamazan.
Okay. Oh, I love it. Love it. Exactly. Precisely. Sagamazan's just got such a stigma about it now as
Yeah, it
well. So
does.
this is your workaround if that's become the case. Okay. Nick, do you want to take us through the spoils of victory?
Yeah, sure. A unit that includes any models with this oath may not make sweeping advances. However, when such a unit would otherwise be eligible to and capable of making a sweeping advance, so no cataphracti, the controlling player
Boom.
must instead roll a d6. On a result of a 4 plus, the controlling player gains a victory point.
Pretty good.
That is pretty damn good.
Yep.
That
Um,
is really not too shabby at all.
So you're basically scavengers, or you're just looking for any like looking for bits of armor or anything to
Yeah.
repair your crappy supply lines.
Yeah. Just stood there, just like, yeah, Jimmy and the Rolex watches off the wrists of your fallen
yeah,
enemies.
Yeah.
I like this one. I think this one when I was looking sort of re-looking through the all the oaths. Sort of thinking back to the narrative of it is that the spoils of victory and like panoply of old, either
Mm,
Night Lords or Raven Guard would be a really cool
Mm.
way of doing Ashen Claws, I
Oh
think.
yeah.
yeah.
Just
Mm,
because that's all what they're. I think probably Night Lords because I think they have their like battle where they keep fight. They have their series of battles with the Night Lords, and they have all like the chain glaives and the weapons because that's what they've taken off them
yeah.
when they've killed them, which I don't think would be a really cool way. I mean, you're kind of hindering yourself a little bit because it's one of those ones that if you're thinking about the game again, because I like to sort of balance it out. It's only active when you're actually in combat, right? So
Yeah.
for the first couple of games, it might not be doing anything, but it's pretty cool, and I think it's really fluffy as well.
I love it. I really like this one. I think this is really. I am really enjoying going through this because there's just so much flavor that just kind of springs
Yeah.
out to you on the
Mm.
page. It's way more engaging than like the Legion Army list. So, um, Matt, can you take us through the flesh is weak as well,
I
please?
I would love to, but this is Nick's
Oh,
baby.
okay,
This is
right,
what this
fine. I will
is. Just
defer.
yeah, but
Yeah.
actually, just looking at the worth checking off the top of your head as well. With the Spores of Victory, it says things that have Cataphractic Exterminator armor, but it also says models with the heavy subtype, which I don't think heavy
Yeah.
stops you from. Does heavy stop
No.
you from? I don't
No.
think it does from sweeping. I think that might be a misprint. So double check people at home before you do this if you are going to use that one because you might be hindering yourself because GW doesn't know its
Yeah.
rules. I'll check
It's
while Nick
interesting that it
talks about.
specifically mentions Cataphractic Terminator armor, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
because
I
that
do feel like
definitely
it's
does.
probably, yeah, I do feel like it's probably deliberate. But there we go.
Mm,
Such is life. Perhaps that
mm.
you like it's the bending down to rubble through the dead bodies,
It's
Yeah.
maybe.
just
Perhaps you can't then get back up.
yeah.
Okay, Nick, take it away. The flesh is weak.
Okay, this is my other go-to, and this is kind of the one that I themed my army around. This was the first oath I
I
kind
can
of
see.
chose. Yeah. So all models with the infantry or cavalry, so that includes land speeders, unit in type in this detachment with this oath, are instead counted
I'm
as having the
listening.
automata unit type. So remember, that makes you fearless, and all poison and I think fleshbane successful wounds have to be re-rolled against you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all those unit types that get the automata gain a flat feel no pain of 5 plus. Um, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So free apothecaries for all. In addition, during the controlling player's shooting phase, a unit that includes any model with its OS must attempt a shooting attack if there is an enemy unit within range and must target the closest enemy unit possible that
Okay.
was within line of sight and is a valid target for a shooting attack. Again, only affecting your infantry and cavalry models, not your dreadnoughts or your tanks. If two or more targets are equally close, then you can choose. You get to choose the controlling player. If no weapon in the unit is capable of hurting or causing a glancing or penetrating hit, so a potential target unit, then that target may be ignored and you can choose another uh, target within line of
Yep.
sight. You cannot take psychers because these guys are basically like they have replaced, they're like either hardcore Iron Hands or any kind of like weirdos who've just gone up to the guilds. They're a great way to do those kind of really cool oh god, what are they called? The sort of the reanimated Iron
Oh, the
Hands.
Gola.
Gola,
Is it
yeah,
the Gola? Yeah, the ones that have been reanimated. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a
Yeah.
really cool way of doing that. So there no psychic shenanigans, which can be a bit annoying. But another interesting cherry on top, augmetic transport blade, because they're all robots or like machine, they don't really care about ergonomics. You can just fold them up and stick them wherever they are. They A model with a special rule, which is the automata, may only be embarked upon by models that previously had the infantry unit type, so your
Hmm.
automata, but have but the transport capacity of this, like a Land Raider or a Rhino, goes up by three. So it makes things like a Land Raider Achilles, which normally is only like a six-man
Yeah.
uh, carrying thing, goes up to nine. So it's quite useful in that way. It makes some of these like smaller transport things a little bit more viable.
Oh man, this is so good. This is all so good. I mean, that you
Yeah.
there's not a bad one, and the fact that
Yeah,
you can
this
pick
one
two and
this
start
one's really
comboing, this
fun.
is good.
Everyone
I
gets
think.
Yeah,
everyone says to me like, "Oh, you can't take reactions on your infantry and cavalry, but you can take other things like your dreadnoughts can still react, your tanks can still react, and things like that."
mm. I
And
would love
actually,
playing this with my Iron Warriors. Let's put it like that.
yeah,
So
and fearless on
Yeah.
all your infantry units is insane. Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
and
yeah,
Yeah, the
and feel no pain as well, especially when it combos with Heart of the Legion. Like you're not paying for apothecaries, and you're getting a 4+ feel no pain.
yeah. This is really good. Love
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Love this.
The flesh one I think is where like a lot of the fun like wacky things
Mm.
start like as in like crazy
Yeah,
things
yeah,
start to happen because obviously you have all the rerolls. You obviously can't take reactions as Nick said. You have it situations where like tactical marines can crack grenade um space
yeah.
marines which are quite fun. There's also a power that one of the Magi can take which lets you take control of automata
Yep.
as well, so you can take control of
Yeah.
them, which is quite fun. I think you have the fun part, but it is like it's balanced at the same time.
Mm,
I
Yeah.
know just to like to just because I've been caught out by it before in terms of the augmetic bay, so it increases it by three, but like rules as written, you're still stuck with let's say if you take a rhino, right? You can still only take because you have to have the
Say that
10 man.
10.
yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
which is, I mean,
Yeah.
you just speak to your opponent, right? And be like, do you mind if I have my, like, you know, a Phantom Menace droid Marines, like 13 of them being, like, plunked out of the side? Like,
Yeah.
it is me.
It's more for if you're taking a Land Raider as like a heavy support rather than a dedicated
Hmm.
transport or
Yeah, yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Jam a couple more characters in units though, and away you go, right?
Hmm.
Okay, Pride is our armor. So, any Legion veteran squads in either a primary detachment or an allied detachment with this oath may be upgraded for 50 points per unit, gaining the Line unit subtype and the Heart of the Legion and Fury of the Legion special rules. However, a detachment with this oath may not include any troop choices, and all troop slots are removed from the force org chart for this detachment. As such, the detachment is no longer required to select any compulsory troop choices, but only one existing elite slot for the detachment is now considered to be compulsory. Additionally, a detachment with this oath may include two additional elite choices. This applies to both detachments selected as primary detachments and those selected as allies. This is this is wild. This is it. This is all I've wanted out of life.
Yeah, 50 points there, John. Just let that
It's
Oh,
resonate with
it,
you.
don't you worry about it. It's fine. I'll spend them. I'll spend them.
it is
I'll spend them.
spenny and it is fun, but you gotta squeeze every
Yeah,
bit of juice out of the all
gotta be
I
veteran
don't give a
lean.
squads.
shit. I I love veterans. Veterans is my jam, and I'll be
Yep.
perfectly honest and say I really hate the way that Pride the Legion works at the moment. It's just
Oh,
not. But
yeah.
this is Pride is my armor, guys. Pride is my armor.
Imagine that with your Flesh is Weak. So you have all your Robo veterans that
I've
get,
run it.
Robo veterans.
I've run it,
yeah,
and
Nick's done it.
it's very suddenly you've got two wound guys sat on an objective with a 4+ feel no pain, and it's just
Yeah,
like, oh,
it's pretty
you're
cool.
not moving.
Yeah.
Oh, oh man, this is the one. We need to have a Black Shields only event. That's what we need to be doing.
That would be fun.
Um, okay, so who would like anyone a volunteer to take me through the Broken Helix?
Yeah, can do it. I can do Broken Helix because this is the one
Good.
I was thinking
Okay,
about
cool.
doing.
Well then,
So,
the floor is
yeah,
yours, matey.
so yeah, a model with this oath and any of the special rules noted in the following list lose those noted special rules, but gain either the clone or aberrant special rule. All
Yeah.
units in the detachment with this oath must take the same option. The opposing player may not achieve objectives from removing a unit that includes any models with either the clone or aberrant special rules when they're removed as casualties. So when you've got your characters in here, Probably worth thinking about whether or not they actually give up any VPs,
Mm.
because if the unit gets killed, it's because they're part of the unit. So yeah,
Yep.
they all anyway. So the special rules that are removed are Fury of the Legion, Heart of the Legion, Spite of the Legion, and Inexorable. So Fury, Heart, Spite, they're obviously your tactical squads
Yeah.
and despoilers. Inexorable, Legion Terminator squads.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Indomitus,
Yep.
and weirdly, regular command. Sorry, the Terminator command squad as well have this.
Yep.
So those are, I think, pretty much the units that are being
Yeah.
affected the most. So, so you've got clone or aberrant. So clone is all models with this special rule that do not also have the character unit subtype must reduce their leadership and initiative characteristics by 1, but gain a damage mitigation roll of 5 plus against all wounds that don't suffer instant death. This is known as a clone resistance damage mitigation roll. Well, that's a mouthful. And does not
Mm.
stack with any other damage mitigation roll. So you can't take your feel no pain, your shrouding
Yeah.
with this. You get this,
So are these like the inducti of the Blackshields then, essentially? Are these
It's more,
I think.
the
yeah,
lab grown?
lab
Mm,
grown horrors, or like some guys like, what happens if we stuck some Xenos DNA in there or something like that, basically.
yeah.
Yeah. What if
And
we fiddle
the
with
clones
this
can't
and
take
play with
reactions.
that?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
they
So
can never be
Okay.
pinned as well.
yeah, can't be pinned
Really
either. So
nice.
these guys can't react but can't be pinned. And then you've got the aberrants. So all models with this special rule that do not also have the character subtype must reduce their leadership and ballistic skill characteristics by 1, but increase their strength characteristics by 1 permanently. And after making a successful charge, gain an additional +1 strength until the end of that player turn. A unit that includes models with this special rule that begins an assault phase within 12 inches of one or more enemy models must declare a charge, though you choose which one you're going to
Yeah.
charge. So that's don't caveat. This one is pretty
Mm.
wild,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So this is like a callback to the similar like aberrants that was in 1.0 where you had like
Chimera,
I think
yeah.
+1, yeah, Chimera,
Yeah.
+1 strength, +1 toughness, which was absolutely horrendous. But this you kind of think of like your Raven Guard Raptors. This is kind of what this is, which is what I like the idea of doing some Raven Guard Raptors that would be, and the characters and the units would be like Night Lords, Slave Masters, and they've like
Ooh.
captured some poor Raptors and are like whipping them into the front lines into
Oh,
a
mate.
frenzy, which I thought would be quite cool. But when you start thinking about +1 strength, if you then sort of, mosey back over to the panoply of old, you have
Yeah,
your
I know.
Terminators with your
Yeah.
Solarite power gauntlets that,
Yeah.
go up to or
Oh,
whatever.
God.
And all the I don't think Solarite might be strength 10 base anyway, but you've got
I
your
think
strength
it is.
10,
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, strength 10 power fist, strength
Thunderhammers.
11 Thunderhammers,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
But even things
But
like your basic
Just
guys,
give
if
me a
you can,
moment, guys.
with things like
sorry.
chain axes and the like, and you can just be like strength 6 regular mooks.
Yeah, it's it's pretty good. All that you have your the two-handed chain sword, the heavy chain swords as well.
Heavy chain swords, yeah.
Um, yeah, heavy chain swords. Yeah. If you start putting things like Moritats in here, if you wanted to be so
Yes, of
inclined,
course. Yes.
of course, of course. But
I
this,
feel
I
like the
think you could.
Moritat is quite a black shieldy unit as well. I
I
feel
think
like
as
the
well.
Moritat
Yeah,
somehow kind of leans into. I think destroyers always feel quite black shieldy. So
yeah.
this is
I think
very,
so.
very cool. Oh,
Yeah,
there's
I
just
think you
so
don't
much
see
flavor you
this.
can do. No.
Oh, yeah, I think you don't see it as much because it's one of those things like the evidence. Like I imagine most people, I mean, how I would approach it is that you need
Mm.
to be modeling them like weird,
Yeah, I agree.
horrendous freaks. So
Yeah.
you don't see them because I don't imagine if I put like this guy this tactical marine with a bolt gun. Oh yes, he's an aberrant. It just doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense, right?
No.
Um,
You
But
could. I think you
go
could
on.
put him as a clone. I feel like he
a
would be a.
clone, yeah, he would be a
Yeah.
good clone, yeah.
The thing,
Yeah.
the way I'd probably do aberrants and an easy one is use Goliath bits, like use
Mhm.
the arms and stuff, especially for
Yeah,
Mhm.
shields,
despoilers
yeah.
and things like that. I think
Yeah.
that's an if you don't want to do a load of sculpting or something like that.
Mm,
And I'm sure there's loads of 3D printed stuff that you can use as well
yeah.
that would make
Yeah.
your life easier.
Absolutely, totally agree. Nick, can you move your microphone ever so slightly closer to your mouth, if at all possible?
Sorry, there we go.
Thank you. Right. The legacy of Nicaea. So I'm going to guess what this may or may not do. Um, any model with this oath and the character units type may be given the psychic unit subtype and gains the Warp Torrent psychic weapon. A model with this oath and with both the character unit subtype and the independent character special rule gains the Warp Torrent psychic power and may pay an additional cost of 25 points per model to also select one discipline from those presented in the rulebook. It's quite nice. It becomes a librarian for 25 points and also gains Warp Torrent. Very snazzy. If this oath is selected, then at least one model selected as an HQ choice must be given the Psyker subtype, and at least two other models with the character unit subtype must be given the Psyker subtype. So that could be unit sergeants, it could be, tech marine, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Cool. Note, the models with this oath do not gain access to the Etheric Lightning Psychic weapon unless another special rule would grant it to them, or if they gain the Psychic unit subtype from another source, such as the Librarian Console upgrade. So this little text at the bottom is, this does not grant the model access to any psychic disciplines, so you just get Warp Torrent. Here we go.
Yes.
So, what does Warp Torrent do? It is a psychic ranged weapon. So you have two profiles. One is Torrent, and that is range 12, strength 5, AP 5, assault 2, deflagrate, and malignant force. And then we have Malignant, which is range 12, strength 5, AP 3. Nice. Assault 2, deflagrate, and malignant force. So the little box for each unsaved wound. What are you trying to chime in, Nick?
No, I was just going to say the asterisk for malignant on the
Yes.
strength.
I will come to that now. So for each unsafe wound inflicted on the attacking model's units due to the perils of the warp, attack triggered by the malignant force special rule increases this value by +1. So every time you perils, strength goes up. Wounds go down, strength goes up. And then the Malignant Force special rule. Any Psyker with the Warp Torrent Psychic weapon may choose to have the unit they are part of suffer the perils of the warp before making any attacks with that weapon. So you can just be like, I'm just going to kill off you, and all of a sudden, we're in business. If this option is not chosen, then resolve the attacks using the torrent profile. If this option is chosen, first resolve perils of the warp against the unit that the attacking model is part of. If the attacking model survives, then resolve the attack using the malignant profile. So you can either go strength 5, AP 5, assault 2, or you can go, I'm going to kill some guys. So you can create an army where you are sacrificing quite a lot of your own members.
Yeah.
But it's great. The warp torrent thing is great, but it's the independent characters getting a 25 point becoming librarians, because you can double dip. You can apply it to librarian or an esoterist, and this combos quite nicely with the aberrants, because you give everyone biomancy, and then suddenly you're getting another +1 strength and potentially +1 toughness on their units. And also, quick question: does the overseer console count as being part of the unit of the militia? So you take big squads of militia and you use warp torrent,
and you
don't care about those militia guys.
The big
you don't care about those. You don't care about those militia guys. You just turn them inside out, and then you just juice up that weapon. Basically,
you could have like an esoterist with that, and you could take your overseer with this. And then his body of mooks that come with him, and then put your character inside of the mooks.
Yeah, his fuel. Let's call it
his fuel. So you can have your 3 characters. Yeah, just firing off militia bullets.
Does it say it doesn't have a cap, which is the kind of insane thing here? Because especially perils,
exactly, yeah.
But still, you can juice it up quite highly with a lot of militia, which is
quite fun. You certainly can. Yeah. Oh,
strength. Your strength 8, AP 3, deflagrate.
And remember it's the assault 2 goes up as well with the asterisk, so it would be 5. Yeah.
Oh.
So I think in militia, you probably would want, I think maybe solar, just so they're a little bit more durable, and then you have your characters in those 3 units that you'll take, and then you can just start warp torrenting them, and whether or not they'd still have the tertio. No, they wouldn't have tertio anymore because there's marines in them, so they couldn't react altogether, which is a shame. But fire those humans at the
Yeah,
enemy.
yeah.
Just pick them up
It's
and throw them.
it's
Yes.
like the old shock attack gun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a really cool one.
love it.
And then I think it's one of the ones where if you take going back to Panoply, you can take the Achaean Force weapons because
Hmm.
you have guys that then have
Yeah,
who are psychers, they can activate them, which is
yep,
quite cool.
yep.
So yeah,
That's really cool,
it's
isn't it?
yeah, very cool.
It's really
See,
fun.
this is what I mean. Why I sort of gave the caveat at the beginning. There's so much stuff you could do
Yeah.
with these
I
guys.
know.
It's loco. It's great. It's
Yeah,
great.
this is absolutely bananas. So, in disgrace, all are equal. A detachment with this oath is not permitted to include any HQ choices, but it is not required to select a compulsory HQ choice, nor may it select a warlord. Interesting.
Mm.
However, all models in the detachment with a character unit subtype gain +1 leadership, +1 wound, and +1 to one of the following characteristics, which must be noted on the army roster before the battle begins. And any models are deployed, but each model may have a different characteristic selected for it. And these are weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, or initiative. Any models in a detachment with this oath that do not have the character unit subtype suffer a penalty of -1 to their leadership characteristic. Bloody hell. So, bracketed models from a Legion Apothecary detachment or Legion Tech Marine Covenant do not gain any of the characteristic bonuses granted by this oath, despite having the character unit subtype. Boo. But they do not suffer penalties for applied to models without it. So, I think this is fine. I don't think it's particularly fun in comparison. Some of the others are quite fun.
I think
It can be
yeah.
interesting, I think. If you again, it's one of those ones which I think you'd want to combo with another one. So I think Pride
Mm,
as our armor would be quite good because then you're running around with a load of mini praetors in charge of your veteran squads, potentially weapon skill 6. I know they
yeah,
don't get access to all the kind of like the crazy war gear, but still potentially interesting.
yeah. Three wounds, 3 wound veteran squad sergeants as
Through
well.
wound 2+A
Yeah,
Thunderhammer,
yeah.
Yeah,
like
just go to town,
it,
mate.
just go to town.
I've got the
Yeah,
gear.
it's
Just go
I
to
think
town.
it's a fun one. I think it's one of
Yeah,
those ones that I would be nice in a like a little allied detachment. I think
Mm,
where you
yeah.
have a couple of units where you have these little because you're only going to take you really in your allied you're only going to get one HQ choice, right? Whereas this
Yeah.
kind of multiplies it out, which quite nice.
That's very clever thinking, Matt. Very clever indeed. Yes, good.
Jot that down if you'd like.
No, I'm recording it, so I can just refer back to it later. Okay. The Taint of the Xenos. Nick, I feel like you should take us through this one because this has got loads of rules.
So any model in a detachment with this oath may exchange a plasma gun or nemesis bolter for a Xenos Deathlock at no additional costing points, a combi bolter for a Xenos Deathlock for +5 points per model, a plasma pistol for a Xenos Doomlock at no additional costs in points, or a power weapon for a Xenos Halo Blade at no additional costing points. A Legion Vigilator may exchange their mastercrafted nemesis bolter for a Xenos Deathlock for no additional costs. So this is just like you guys have just been like, screw the Emperor, screw the Mechanicum. I want to get some of that good Xenos technology. However, so you've got 3 different weapons here. So you've got the 2 shooting ones. So you've got Xenos Deathlock, which is an 18-inch strength 6 AP4 assault 2 deflagrate with lethal exposure. The Doomlock, which is the pistol version, so 9 inches, strength 6, same, pistol 2, deflagrate, lethal exposure. But then the piece de resistance, I think, of this one is the Xenos Halo Blade, +3 strength, AP3, two-handed. Again, thinking about aberrants, you combine that, some
Yeah.
pretty nasty stuff. But the problem is lethal exposure. If a unit makes attacks with this one or more weapons with this special rule as part of a shooting attack in any phase, including as part of a reaction, roll a d6. If the result of this roll is equal to or less than the number of weapons in the unit with a lethal exposure rule, the unit suffers a single wound with no saves of damage mitigation allowed. This
Oh,
wound is
bloody hell.
allocated to any model in the unit by the controlling
Yeah.
player.
I don't feel like the ranged weapons are
Yeah,
that. I feel like I'd rather have a plasma gun.
yeah, the ranged weapons are not that. It's the in the old first edition, lethal exposure used to actually be a bit more interesting. It used to be like if you
Hmm.
roll under the number, so it's the idea of like you having a lot of
Yeah.
them causes it. And they lost quite an interesting rule as well. But the Halo
Yeah,
Blade, I do
it's
think is
cool.
quite tasty.
Halo Blade is pretty cool. I just can't see a scenario where I want to sacrifice like another really flavorful thing that works across the entire army for access to a Halo Blade.
Yeah,
Personally, I could be
Yeah,
wrong. I might be
I
wrong.
think
I often
I
am
think
wrong.
it falls flat a little bit this one. I think that it could be it could have been super cool, but
Mm,
I think the rules are just a bit like they don't reflect how cool it could
Because
be.
yeah.
the old edition, the lethal exposure rule also worked in your favor because it's like, okay, if you caused an unsaved wound with your Xenos weapon, not the Halo blade, but your opponent had to pass a leadership check, and if they didn't, it immediately caused D6 more wounds that they had to save to sort
Is
of
that it?
reflect the horrors of which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
quite is a nice trade-off. And this is just kind of feels like it's a Volkite that gets hot, really.
Yeah.
It's a bit meh,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
my
Yeah.
opinion. Meh.
Yeah.
I think from a range weapon, I'd rather a plasma gun. Look,
yeah,
I'm sure there'll be people out there who'll be like, "This fits the theme of what I want to do
yeah.
down to a T.
Exactly.
Let's run for it."
Cool conversion opportunities.
Yeah, and more power to you. So it's just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's not for you.
Exactly.
Okay, so the weapons of desperation. So we have a lot of additional war gear and weaponry that is only available to the Blackshields. So there's a lot of text. We'll rattle through it and get through. So any models in attachment with this oath, and so obviously apologies. This is an oath as opposed to just like war gear across the.
Yeah.
I should have explained that. I didn't explain it very well. It's weaponry, but you have to take the oath to unlock it. So all models in attachment with this oath and the infantry unit type must exchange any bolters and bolt pistols they have for one of the following weapons. Exchanging weapons on a 1-for-1 basis. For example, a model with this oath and a bolter and a bolt pistol must exchange both these weapons, selecting 2 weapons from the following list in exchange. Auto rifle, stub carbine, shotgun, las carbine, las pistol, or auto pistol. When exchanging weapons, each exchange may be for a different weapon, and squads and models do not have to receive the same weapon when making multiple exchanges. Interesting. When exchanging weapons for a unit of more than one model, for each 3 models in the unit, one model may exchange a bolter for a heavy stubber instead of one of the other options listed. But why you would do that is mental. But we know some people out there may be mental.
Cool. That's
A model with the independent character special rule may always exchange a bolter for a heavy stubber. Yeah, because that's what I'm going to do, isn't it? I want
cool. Look, how cool is that? Your Praetor with this, like, this machine gun being like chunk chunk, like full,
yeah,
you know,
pea shooter.
it's great.
Right, okay. So any model that exchanges one or more weapons due to the strictures of this oath also gain the desperate measures special rule. So there is also a note to add here. Note, this exchange takes place after any options are selected from a unit's army list profile. For example, allowing models from a Legion veteran squad to first upgrade a bolter to a plasma gun before any remaining bolters must be exchanged for other weapons. However, a model with this oath that has been given a bayonet or chain bayonet may not then exchange their bolter for an auto pistol or las pistol. I mean,
Yeah.
oh dear. Who's exchanging a bolt gun with a chain bayonet for a fucking auto pistol? What?
Just
you
wait,
what is
just you
happening?
wait.
You
Just
wait,
wait,
John.
just
You
you
wait. Look
wait.
at that list. Look
Just-
at that list of things. Look at that stub carbine, those 3 shots. Look at that
3.
auto rifle, rapid fire.
And
Look
you
at that.
haven't read the desperate measures at the bottom yet. That it makes it
Okay.
interesting.
The Army of Desperation. So I feel like I'm going to read the lore text here first. So considered lesser weapons by snobs like myself. These tools are usually the province of militia and other such forces, and in the hands of the Legiones Astartes seem more like toys than weapons. Correct. This is like Fisher Price, my first range weapon, isn't it?
Nerf guns.
Yeah. Okay. So we have an auto pistol. For those of you who've never looked in the cults and militia list before, an auto pistol is range 12, strength 3, AP dash, pistol 2. A shotgun. I do love a shotgun, to be fair. Perhaps I'll take some of it back. I do like a shotgun. Strength 12, range 12, strength 3, assault 2, concussive 1. An auto rifle, range 24, strength 3, rapid fire. A stub carbine, range 12, strength 3, assault 3. Oh, here we go. Here's your guy. Heavy stubber, range 36, strength 4, AP 6.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss, heavy 3. And all weapons listed here are counted as las weapons for rules that affect such weapons. Las pistol, range 12, strength 3, pistol 1. Las gun, range 24, strength 3, rapid fire. And las carbine is range 18, strength 3, AP 6, assault 2. Right, Nick, take me through desperate measures.
So a model with this special rule treats all weapons from the Armory of Desperation that have the assault type as if they were the pistol type. And all weapons from the Armory of Desperation with a heavy type as if they had the assault type. Models with this special rule count weapons from the armor of desperation with a rapid fire type as if they had the pistol 2 type instead. So this is where it gets interesting.
So you're saying you can gunsling shotguns? Is this what
you can
saying?
gunsling shotguns, but the magnum opus is what I term, I've discussed this with Matt, the lead rain tactic. So imagine, if you will, a 20-man tactical squad with a tech marine in it. You exchange both the bolter and the bolt pistol for stub carbines. So you've got 2 pistols, you've got 6 shots there. Tech Marine gives you that cheeky Cognis Signum. You get that, you're hitting on 2+. A 20-man tactical squad is giving 120 shots. I know there's strength 3, but weight of fire.
Can't shroud that, mate.
You can't shroud that number of shots. Literally, it gets crazy. You stick a Moritat in there. That's another, I think, 36 shots there.
The Moritat can chain fire.
Chain fire, stub carbines. Yeah. Plus, you give the tactical squads the chainsword upgrade. And you've got the spoilers, basically, because they get the extra attack because they've got pistol.
It's pretty funny.
So what you're saying is you can spend your entire day rolling dice to do absolutely nothing.
You betcha.
Is this what I'm hearing? Okay, because I do appreciate the concept of weight in numbers, but I do also appreciate the concept of futility, and I feel like there's quite a big crossover between the weight of dice and the futility of what you're trying to achieve with this particular setup.
Look, you're there rolling all those dice, and your opponent is stuck with you as you fire 120 stub carbine shots at them from your Space Marines, and then you charge them.
Then you've got 4 tactical squads doing the exact same thing. And
I'm not sure. I don't think I own a third of the dice required to make this movie work.
Exactly.
I mean,
look, you could have your
dice alone.
You could have your jet bike guys doing the cool thing where like they're firing like you get a 3D STL an STL file for an Uzi. You have your jet bike guys doing like drive-bys where they're holding the Uzi like that, basically.
For me,
John's not convinced. He's not convinced.
It's the Moritat. The fact that Moritat can gunsling to either 2 shotguns
carbines
or 2 stub carbines.
2 shotguns. I'm in for.
We all played Modern Warfare 2, right? Like the Model 1887s, right? Running around.
I'm fully in for a Moritat dual wielding shotguns. Okay.
Yeah.
You've begun to won me round.
There have to be like lever action, like in the
Just have someone constantly just chucking shells in. Just a cyber familiar.
Cyber familiar.
Just
or they're belt fed.
Okay, right. Okay, now we're in business. Now we're talking.
Belt fed
now
shotgun.
We're talking. Belga shotgun. Okay, well
it's fun.
It's fun. It feels like a nonsense, but
it is.
A nonsense can still be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the big boy himself.
I fucking love this guy. Like, he is, like I said, if you are unaware of the backstory of Enred Heart, go and listen to the I'll link it at the end of the show, but go listen to the Lore of Beta Garwin episode and just skip straight to the part about Enred Heart dressing up as whatever he desires and then absolutely wailing on people. So we're not going to cover his lore because we've done it previously, but safe to say this guy is just like, I would implore anyone to look into the lore and backstory of Enred Heart and not think fucking love this guy, because he is an absolute mega man. So what makes him so mega? Well, for starters, he's a world eater, and let's be honest, regardless of what you might think about other legions, nobody's got a bad word to say about the world eaters.
Loyalist world
something
eaters.
There's something about world eaters players. They're just they're an interesting breed, but they're also completely inoffensive somehow as well. I don't feel like anyone I've ever met has got a negative trait or a negative thing to say about the world eaters.
No.
Okay, so Enred Heart, the Riven Hound, Praetor of the Black Shield, the Fangs of the Emperor, 165 points. Already, he feels cheap, and we have not even read anything else about him. He's got 3 cool names, and he costs no points. So, his movement 7, pretty standard. Weapon skill 6, pretty standard. Ballistic skill 4, substandard. Strength 4, average, run of the mill. Oh, here we go. Toughness 5.
Ooh, mama.
Here he is. 3 wounds. Initiative 4. 4 attacks. Not
Mm.
too shabby. Leadership 10 and a 2-up save. So immediately the standouts are he's got a low initiative, but he is very, very hardy. He's a hardy man.
Mm.
Oh yes.
So he is composed of 1 Enred Har. His war gear is Chef's Kiss Architect Pistol. Love it. I love an
Fantastic.
Architect Pistol. You'll never dissuade me from wanting to take Architect Pistols whenever possible. He comes with a terawatt pattern power gauntlet. We'll find out what that is in a second. An iron halo, you can see it clearly on his back. Frag and crack grenades and artificer arms. He's got 2 up, 4 up. He is a unique character.
Side
He's not
note, as
independent-
unique, he doesn't
Yeah.
benefit from any of the oaths.
Oh yeah, clever.
Because
Clever
otherwise
thinking.
he would be super juicy.
Yeah, he would be. He'd be a fucking mentalist. So his special rules are Legionis Astartes, Blackshields, Marshal of the Legion, obviously, which is good. He is relentless. He's an independent character. He has hatred world eaters. He has battle hardened 1 when
He's an Iron Hand.
combined with his toughness 5.
Strength 12 only, baby.
He's
Yeah.
a fucking Morlock or whatever they're called.
Man too
Yeah.
angry to die.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be conversion beamed though, does he?
No.
No, he
With
does
his-
not.
No, and again, only being initiative 4 as well, bless him. And he has a warlord trait, the Fangs of the Emperor. So, if chosen as the army's warlord, Enred Har automatically has the Fangs of the Emperor warlord trait and may not select any other, which is a shame because all the other standard warlord traits are pretty cool, as we've discussed earlier. So, Fangs of the Emperor. If Enred Har is the enemy's warlord, the controlling player can designate up to 3 units with the infantry unit type that do not have the bulky special rule to gain the scout special rule. Here we go. Here we go.
Cheeky.
In addition, very cheeky.
Very
In addition,
cheeky.
an army whose warlord has this trait may make an additional reaction during the assault phase as long as the warlord has not been removed as a casualty. So he obviously doesn't benefit from any of the oaths, but an army, including Enred Har, can still take oaths.
hmm
Okay. So you may have noticed in his left hand, he has a giant hand.
one massive hand,
One massive hand.
and it is a big hand at that.
Yes, so it is it's not even a hand. It's a terawatt pattern, the power gauntlet. This brutal power fist is studded with additional disruption nodes, allowing a significant charge to be built up. Even the sturdiest foe is rent asunder as its energies are unleashed. Yeah, it's safe to say he turns his opponents into a gas with one swing of his mighty fist.
Well, unless you're Abaddon's head, which apparently is stronger than his terawatt power gauntlet, but never mind, eh? Never mind.
I'll gloss over that. So it is counted as a power weapon for those rules that affect such weapons. It is strength ×2, so strength 8, AP 2. Not bad. It's melee unwieldy, so it doesn't matter about its low initiative because you're going to be punching last anyway. It is a specialist weapon, very, very nice, because it can also then be comboed with his Architect Pistol, which is also a specialist weapon for an additional attack. It is brutal too, as we know,
Roll 2 is pretty good.
Yep.
and it has an additional rule, charged attacks.
Oh,
Is this where it comes into the 4, is it, Nick?
Yeah,
we've
it's
been
where
building
we're
up to this, haven't
cooking.
we?
yeah.
Okay, let's turn that gas up a little bit then. So each time Enred Har makes attacks with this weapon, he can make charged attacks. If he does so, halve the total number of attacks Enred Har makes, rounding up, but change the strength characteristic of his terawatt pattern gauntlet to ×3.
Strength 12, baby. You're punching javelins out the sky. Not that you really want to waste this guy charging javelins, but
If the need arises, right?
you're clonking myrmidons who only deserve it. Like
Your
you're
Castaferum Dreadnought.
you're
Also,
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
Bam.
automata. You're
Oh,
just
God.
punching.
whammy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good. He's good.
He is really good. He is
Yeah.
a bargain for 165 points. He is legitimately terrifying.
That three scouting things is pretty
Yeah.
is great as well.
It's
Considering
mental.
like
It's-
3 units into outflank assault, fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
we've
glossed over how good that is because we become so focused on his massive hand.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
his humongous fist.
but he can allow you to scout 3 units, which is really, especially, and think about some of the oaths and how you can kind of combo that in as well. And we are, all of a sudden, we're talking about a pretty scary little force.
Yeah, a lot of rules going on, which is
A lot of rules, and also sick model.
Yeah, great model.
Yeah, great model. And the thing I love about the model, he fills that base.
Yeah,
there's not a spare
he should have been on a
inch of
50.
real estate. Yeah, there's not a spare inch of real estate on that base because
Or a 40.
he fills that base.
Yeah. He's very nice to paint. I've painted him, and it's just not. It's kind of like painting a Tortuga Space Marine that is much.
I've literally never heard of them.
Yeah, who? What? Sorry, I don't know either. Someone mentioned them to me once, but I've never seen one. It's just so nice. So nice to paint a bigger Space Marine. It's what? Oh, goodness me! Where's that? Is that 3D print?
No, this is cast resin, mate. The finest cast resin.
This is we're a good Christian podcast here.
We are indeed, absolutely. Always buy legitimate, please. Thank you very much.
I think he would as well. You've got your little with his fluff somewhere in the beta Garmin book that I am skimming through now. The full composition of the Emperor's Fangs as well, which is pretty cool. So you can literally be like, I know exactly how many Marines were there and the names of the companies as well, which is very cool. I like that a lot. So you can
this guy, take him at every conceivable opportunity because he is fucking king.
There's also some fun stuff you can do. He's a great way of doing a count as. He kind of works because you can go with any Black Shield force, not specifically. So you can convert a kind of count as Enred if you fancy. Again, ask your opponent's permission if you're playing them, but I think it could be a really fun little conversion opportunity.
Yeah, as long as he's got a massive hand.
Yep.
Has to have a massive hand, guys. Otherwise, no bueno.
No bueno.
Okay, so we're going to roll into some sample lists now. So as I said, we've broken this down to two categories. One is allied lists, and the second is primary detachments lists. So Kerry has given us sample allied list 1. This list is themed around a small force of the failed experimental replacement Marines made by Corax after Isfahan and could easily be used alongside a Raven Guard list. So the oaths used are Broken Helix for Aberrants and Panoply of Old. So we get Raven Guard stuff in there. So this is following on from what Matt was talking about earlier.
Yep.
So you start off with a Moritat with Corvid Jump Pack and Raven's Talons and a Bolt Pistol. 20 Assault Marines with 4 Power Lances. The Sergeant has Raven's Talons, and 20 Despoilers with 4 Power Maws. Sergeant with Raven's Talons for a total of 700 points for 41 guys, which I don't think is that bad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So Aberrants are -1 leadership and ballistic skill, but they are +1 strength and they gain an additional strength on the charge. This means that the Power Maws under the Despoilers are strength 8 on the charge.
That's pretty good.
Meanwhile, all the chainswords carried by everyone else are strength 6, and the power lances are strength 7, coupled with the Moritat's rad grenades. Oh no. So the theme of this list could also use Emperor's Children instead of Raven Guard to reflect some of Fabius' experiments. This is exactly where my mind has been going for the last hour and 27 minutes.
Yeah, and you got the cool new kits, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got the new Emperor's Children kits,
It's all coming up Millhouse, guys.
It's all coming up Millhouse.
Yeah.
And none of these guys give any VPs, right? With the
Yeah. Oh dear. So
there we are. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This list riffs off an old Iron Hand detachment that have gone too far in their automatic pursuit after Istvan and are reduced to little more than automata. This would work well thematically, maybe with a Mechanicum list. Again, I believe a theme that Nick touched on earlier. It's almost like this was pre-planned. It wasn't, by the way. This was hastily rushed together, but it looks like we've done it, and that's what's important. So oaths are used are the Flesh is Weak and Eternal Vendetta Emperor's Children.
Cool.
I like already. So we've got a Mortificator with a Contemptor, with a Gravis Plasma Cannon, a close combat weapon with a Grab
Chef's
Gun.
kiss.
Yeah.
Oh.
Two times 10 tap Marines and a Rhino. You're right, man. You need a bit.
Oh, it's great. You just never see them, do you? You just never see them, and they're just fucking cool, aren't they? Anyway,
yeah, they are indeed. 7 Cataphractii Terminators with dual lightning claws and a Land Raider Proteus for a combined total of 1,080 points. Obviously, the classic 1,080 points sample.
Yeah,
Alex
the nice round number
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So,
Um,
the flesh is weak.
yeah,
It gives all the infantry, including the Terminators, a 5-up damage mitigation, which is that is so good.
Mm,
yeah,
Making them nice and survivable. It also increases the transport capacity of vehicles by 3, so the Proteus can now carry 15. It's not clear if the tactical squads can get bigger, so I can take a dedicated Rhino if they're number 10, as we've already discussed.
yeah,
Despite having a capacity of 12 normally, the Proteus in this list is bought as the heavy slots rather than dedicated transport
yeah.
to mitigate
yeah,
this. So we've
yeah.
got, as you all well know, I have a special fondness in my heart for just like line tactical Terminators. And now the fact that they've got a 5-up feel no pain at the same time, or sorry, a damage mitigation roll, is just it's just
Yeah.
lovely.
And
Yeah,
they're fearless
those
as
guys.
well.
Simply lovely.
Yeah,
And they're
all
fearless. They're not going
fearless.
to run.
Yeah,
They're going
yeah,
to
yeah,
fight
yeah.
to the last man.
Yeah. I really like this is the Ultramarines. I can never get away from them. The
Yeah.
two 10-man in a Rhino. That's such a lovely little chef's kiss there because those guys they've got their full no pain. So they've got a
Yep.
4+ on objectives. So they
Yep.
all just poodle up, they'll sit there and
And not
good
go
luck
anywhere.
getting rid of
Yeah.
them because
Yeah.
you
You
just
have to
won't.
kill him to a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're fearless as well.
Yeah, because
It's
they're
just
fearless,
madness.
exactly.
It's just madness.
What more could one want? It's almost like
Yeah.
Remus was here in the room with us.
Ah, it is almost. Oh
Yeah.
god, yeah, yeah, lovely little allied
That
attachment. Though
fucking
80
guy.
points. I mean,
Yeah.
fucking hell, that's stuff. Can't be having that. But
No.
um,
I must admit that does start to set my teeth on edge a little bit.
yeah. Let me
Never
just make
mind,
my
Kerry. Yeah.
1,920 point primary
Yeah,
detachment.
primary detachment. The classic.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh,
Very, very
okay.
cool.
Okay, this is another great theme. And then the last one is this list is about an elite force that have gone their own way and are living their best space pirate life, dropping in, pillaging, and raiding. So the overused are Pride is our armor, Spoils of Victory. I think Kerry's written this one for me. Of course he has, because he's used my favorite number, which is 1,290 points.
And another great little.
Oh, I love that. I think
Yeah.
actually, people want to play like 2K events or like 1,500 points. I think
Yeah.
1,290 is the new
Is
the
the
new
new-
3K.
Absolutely. It's a new 2K. Yeah, exactly. Games are going to get smaller and smaller. Soon we're going to have
Yeah.
78 point events. So, okay. So, a Praetor with a Paragon Blade as a starting point. Not too shabby. I like how he's obviously got a cutlass. I think that's probably what Kerry's going
Yeah.
for there. 5 Tartaros Terminators with dual lightning claws in a dedicated Dreadnought drop pod. We've then got 5 Tartarus with Thunderhammers in a dedicated Dreadnought drop pod. Again, see, he knows I like tactical line Terminators, and he also likes I have like veterans. So we've got 10 vets, all with chargeable sabers in a drop pod. So Pride as our armor gets rid of the need for troops and gives an additional 2 elite slots. Spoils of Victory needs you to be capable of making sweeping advances to benefits. The Tartarus work better than Cataphractii. Could not agree
Yep.
more. You could pay 50 points to give the veterans Heart of the Legion a line, but as an allied Black Shield force cannot score objectives, it feels unnecessary. It's a very good point.
Oh wait, my good tactical Marines and they don't score. God damn it.
No, but
It's shit.
they do deny.
They do deny. I don't care. It's
Yeah.
gone. It's lost. to me.
But with the spoils of victory, you are still able to generate victory points
You are
with this
generating
allied
victory
detachment.
points. Yeah. So, Kerry says there's a bonus option here for maximum bro points, which is drop Spoils of Victory and take Panoply of Old, White Scars, and give the pirate captain a Cyberhawk parrot instead. But
It's great.
I mean, it's
Use
not
that
for me,
Inquisitor
but it
model
might
with
be
that
for you.
weird flying dragon lizard thing.
Yeah.
You take that,
Yeah.
that weird lizard from
Yeah.
there.
And what's his name? Cortez, isn't
Yeah.
he? He's got an eagle,
Cotiers
hasn't
or
he?
whatever it is. Yeah.
Cotiers, yeah.
Yeah.
The weird guy with his sort of weird cod piece that he seems to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. Yeah.
R.I.P. the metal one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the parrot is pretty. I was saying to Nick earlier. I mean, you could just do it in the White Scars anyway, but the idea of having 10 Black Shield what they call nullificators, all with disintegrators, and then you with the rapid fire ones, and then you have the parrot, so they get to reroll ones.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be pretty great, wouldn't it? That'd be pretty
I do
cool.
like it. I do like it.
I don't hate it. I don't mind it.
Okay, so 3K primary list one, oaths used, pride is out armor, and in disgrace all are equal. So we obviously we begin with 4 apothecaries with power lances and artificer
Of
armor.
course.
Fucking hell. Contempt with Gravis Las Cannon and Power Fist. We have 10 vets upgraded. The Vexilla Sergeant has a Thunderhammer and Artificer armor, and then 7 vets with Combi Volkite and 2. Why has he done this so many times? Has he gone?
He's gone insane.
What is happening here?
Oh, this is my
So-
list. This is kind of like I did submit this list, so
Right, in which case you talk us through this list
Yeah.
because honestly, this makes my brain explode.
So basically, you've got 3 blocks of veterans with Sergeant with a Thunderhammer and Artificer with
And
7,
then 7 vets with Combi Volkite and Power Lances.
Yeah,
2 metal guns. Right, okay.
Yeah, and then 2 melter guns and a power lance. So
So
again,
it's not 3 times 17 veterans, which is what
no. And then you've got for a bit of combat thing, you've got 10 veterans with Pride as our armor upgrade, all with paired lightning claws. All the sergeants you want to give the +1 weapon skill, most likely. So their weapon skill 6. You take 3 Proteus land speeders with the Volkite Culverin just to kind of more anti-infantry kind of stuff. I thought this, I kind of themed with a lot of Volkite, like these are like veterans of like the early Great Crusade when they were using like a lot, and they've kind of come back and they're like, our commanders and all our Legion commanders are idiots. Let's just do it our own kind of thing. Derideo, because I just love an Arachnus Derideo. Just so good.
Yes.
With the
Take me
garlic
now.
missile launcher. Oh, the Aeolus. 5 heavy support Marines with an autocannon, because I like autocannon heavy support squads.
They're the best. They're the best weapon in the game.
And I also, my favorite Sikaran variant, Sikaran Punisher with a Pintle heavy bolter.
The best tank
well.
in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it would obviously be better if all 3 of those options had Legionaries to start as Iron Warriors. That's the only way.
Yeah, I know, but
improve
beggars
upon
can't be
them,
choosers.
Have you heard of Preysight, John? I'm just curious if you've heard of that.
I've heard of
probably
it,
better.
yes, but
I've heard it maybe makes those 2 things better.
And you've got
I'm
some
going to
Seekers
level
in
with
there
you.
as well.
No. Excuse me, please, Nick. Matthew and I have an argument for a second. If you're telling me that a Night Lord's Punisher is somehow better than an Iron Warrior's Punisher,
It is.
I'm telling you, it is
It is,
fundamentally not.
It is.
But then you have Sponson shrapnel cannons, a hull mounted shrapnel cannon, and a pintle shrapnel cannon. And do you know what else?
So,
If it were the 2 facing up against each other, you can't do fucking shit to me, but I can blow you up. So that's it. Case closed.
That's not how we're doing
closed.
this, John. That's not how we're doing this. This is how we're doing this, because I understand you've taken the low-hanging fruit here. You've seen the tree, and you've taken the low-hanging fruit. What you want
That's
to do
literally
is
how I
get
live my life.
you want to get that Punisher in a squadron with las cannon sponsons, Preysight, and then you cook him, because your las cannons shoot off at you defensive fire all your bolt guns and your Punisher top, and then you las cannon somewhere else. Anyway, back to Blackshields. You're wrong, I'm right.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's stop Legion comparing here.
God, that was one of the most insanely exhilarating willy waving contests I've had in a long time. Thanks, man. I really enjoyed that.
Who has the best Punisher?
Yeah, my Punisher's better than your Punisher.
Mine has Preysight.
Mine has pinning and +1 on my gun against your Punisher. Okay, right. Enough now. Let's draw a line underneath this. We're all friends here. Well, ish.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on. Okay, so that's good. Thanks for designing this, Nick. I'm sorry that we've completely glossed over everything
sorry about that.
by me and Matt.
It's all right. Again,
cool.
These lists are kind of, I went with kind of like a theme, because like that's how I chose Black. You go with a theme and you use that to choose the oaths.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I fucking love veterans. I fucking love Derideos with heavy las cannons. I love auto cannons, and I bloody love a Punisher. So you've got me hooked here. This is where
excellent.
I go. Cool. Right, next one. Did you write this list as well?
I did as well.
Right, talk us through it.
So basically, starting off, the theme idea is these guys have gone off. They've encountered a Xenos species. They're like, I could do with some of that gene material and their weaponry. Let's inject it. So it's Aberrant and Taint of the Xenos. So you've got a Praetor and Tartarus armor with Thunderhammer and Grenade Harness, 4 Tartarus command squads with 3 times Xenos Halo Blade and Banner with a Thunderhammer. You want that Tartarus command squad to benefit from the +1 strength, because your Thunderhammer suddenly becomes strength 10 and strength 11 on the charge. And
Love it.
the Halo Blade is just cool. I like it. You're going to be strength 9 on the charge. You take a librarian in Tartarus armor to go with that.
Hello.
Take Force Axe and a Force Maul, or not? Or you can't
Yes.
take a, and you with Biomancy, so you boost them up. Suddenly you're hitting strength 12 there with some of your stuff, and +1 toughness. Take a Herald in Tartarus armor with a Thunderhammer and grenade harness. You take 10 Tartarus Terminators with 7 Halo
Yes,
Blades,
you do.
a
Yes,
Chain
you do.
Fist, and a Sergeant with a Thunderhammer in a Land Raider Spartan with a Flared Shield, and you stick the Herald in there. Basically, so you've got this massive block of horrible, super strong.
Yep.
You've got 2 Apothecaries with Halo Blades and Artificer, 20 Despoilers with a Vexilla, 4 Power Lances. Sergeant's got a Halo Blade and Artificer. Both squads have the same. Again, you take the classic Deredeo, but then the piece de resistance. You take 2 Sikaran Punishers in a squadron with Pintle Heavy Bolters.
And a single one on its own.
Oh, yes, and a single one on its own.
So you got the trifecta.
Yeah,
you've got the best tank in the game, Thricefold.
I like it. I like it.
Yes. Okay. I love it. Thanks, Nick. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, right. We've been rabbiting on for a long time about Blackshields. This has gone on and been way more fun and engaging than I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be fun and engaging, but this has made my Tuesday night, guys. It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
Okay. Look, let's wrap this up before some final closing thoughts. So, thank you so much to Sacris Mundus. Again, if you've not watched our terrain episode, go watch that. We stole a lot of ideas from Sacris Mundus. But if you want to print some scenery at home or have some scenery printed on your behalf and you want to scale it up, scale it down, scale it left, scale it right, you can download their files from Cults 3D, My Mini Factory, or the Sacris Mundus Patreon. You will see more and more Sacris Mundus terrain making its way to Heresy Hammer events in the coming months, which is nice to hear. And if you're attending some of our good friends, SM Battle Reports, No Retreats as well, they've got a lot of Sacris Mundus terrain on their boards, and they look tip fucking top.
Spicy.
Right, if you're after some cool characters for your no doubt upcoming Blackshields force, then why not head over and see Dan at Gator 3D. So Dan specializes in the highest quality miniatures prints, largely for kind of character and like unit models. He works exclusively with some of the best designers in the business, so you can get stuff from Dan or from Gator 3D printing that you cannot get anywhere else on the internet, not even with a Telegram account. So head over and see Dan. Cool. And lastly, once you come up with a name for all of your Blackshields characters, why not head over to BattleBling, to their battle builder, and get some custom nameplates made up? Why not treat yourself to some additional pieces for your games of Adeptus Titanicus, Legiones Imperialis, and 28mm Heresy 2? You can hit up BattleBling at BattleBling Store on Instagram, and don't forget to use the code HeresyHammer for 10% off at checkout. So it's that time again when we say an enormous thank you. In fact, the first thank you I want to give is to my glamorous co-hosts for the evening, Matt and Nick. I've had a thoroughly fantastic evening chatting with you. It's been so good to learn as well as entertain.
No, thank you, mate.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for very much for having us. It's been kind of been chomping at the bit to do this.
Good, that's good to hear. So I would appreciate if you're watching this, just drop a little comment down below, thanking Matt and Nick for giving up their time on what was, let's be honest, this was pub garden weather today, and both of them have stayed in and locked themselves in their respective houses to chat about Blackshields with me all evening. So
yes,
an enormous thank you to that.
No,
I don't think we've mentioned it at all this episode, which is weird for one of our episodes, especially one that I'm hosting. But if you would like bonus Heresy Hammer content, if you'd like just more of everything, then you can head over to the Heresy Hammer Patreon. You can subscribe to the Patreon for just £3 a month, and that will give you access to all of our bonus videos. We make 2 every month, and we've been going for what?
Too long.
There's loads. There's loads. Years. There's years worth of additional content over on the Patreon, plus all of our event packs and event materials we supply as well. This particular group of absolute heroes are our top tier Heresy Hammer Praetors, of which I'm proud to say that my co-hosts represent. you will be on the you guys still on the
Wait, I'm on page
what?
two.
Yeah,
Rude.
you're on page two now. I know. Sorry,
Fucking
apologies. It's look, it's a big list. It's a big list. What can I say? Our operators are our biggest supporters and are therefore the biggest rewardees, and will be soon in receipt of some incredibly cool Heresy
I've got it
Hammer Heresy.
right here.
Have
It's
you?
reflecting off my very, very, very bright
Very
lamp, which
bright
I'll have to.
light.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the it's arrived at the weekend, so yeah, I got out and looking at my cool little token, so I'm very looking forward to using those.
Cool, wonderful stuff. If you want to check out and see what rewards are available on the Patreon, then just head over to patreon.com/Heresy Hammer. We appreciate all the support. We've invested an awful lot of time, effort, and money this year on community projects. So we're very, very, very appreciative of all of the support that we get from the community. And we do get a lot of support, and we are very grateful for it. So we're investing a lot this year to give as much stuff back as possible. So please consider supporting the show. It really does make a massive difference. If you're interested to see what's going on over the Patreon, but you just want to kind of dip your toe, you can get a 7-day free trial for new members. We've got, like, at last count, close, like, over 900 members on the Patreon now, which is
That's
absolutely
insane.
Wow.
mind blowing. And thanks so
Yeah,
much to all of you out there. It's really, really appreciated.
my
Okay.
hourly rate's gone up for this, just so you know, John. Whatever I've told you, I'm
I
timesing it by
I don't
5.
care. I just send it to Lee, mate. He just did the invoicing. So, right. Please head over to Instagram at Heresy Hammer Show. If you're posting whips and bits and pieces, then don't forget to use the hashtag Heresy Hammer, and we will look through some of our favorites in our community shows. Not a very small selection of our favorites. Just because you haven't been featured yet doesn't mean you're not in our favorites. Don't worry, we'll be coming to it. If you've made it this far and you've not already hit that like button or that subscribe button, please do so now. It really helps us out and it costs nothing. Share it with your friends and your gaming groups and your hobby partners or lovers. And don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know about the cheeky wombo combos you're already running or you're now planning to run with your either existing or soon to be existing Blackshields armies. And obviously, give a big thanks to Matt and Nick. If you've got questions, queries, you've got a Black Shield list you'd like us to review, really like to do some more of that, then we will be doing that on the next community show. You can send your correspondence to heresyhammer30k@gmail.com. Patreon.com/heresyhammer for all the bonus bits and bobs. And you can also subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform of choice, be that Amazon Music, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, etc. And why not also join the Heresy Hammer WhatsApp community? You guys are both on the WhatsApp community, aren't you?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
it is
indeed.
popping off all the time. I
Yeah, I
think
just
there
don't do
have
any
been.
work anymore.
I know
I just
it's crazy, isn't it?
fuck's
Since
sake,
we've been
mate.
recording, there have been. Hold on a
Oh God,
second.
how many? 1 bajillion messages. Some of them I have to put.
46,000 messages. I think, to be honest
Hmm.
with you, since I checked this morning, we've had about 1,400 messages across the community.
Yeah,
Don't worry, we've
some
all.
of them I have to mute.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Don't worry, there is organisation on there. It's not just one big shouting match. So, but you could
yeah.
the link to join the WhatsApp community, and that is to join with heresy enthusiasts all over the world. You can find that in the show notes, or head over to Linktree/Heresy Hammer or Instagram. It's all in the bio there. And I think my voice is about to go. So we're
Mm.
going to call it there. One final thank you to you all out there in the big wide world for watching and continuing to enjoy and support Heresy Hammer. And thanks again to Matt and Nick. On
Pleasure,
that
mate.
note, we shall
Thanks for having
wish
us
you
on.
adieu.
Yeah, thank you very
Adieu.
much. Guten Nacht.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.